What's up, beer drinkers? We got a special for you this week. This is our post Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Fest episode. We've been doing it for the last few years. And like always, after we get back to my aunt's house from the Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Festival, we sit down and we recap it. A little bit drunk, a little bit sun-parched this year anyway. And had a lot of fun. And this year, we were joined by Will Waltheresen from Catalyst Crafted Ales. I invited Will to come out because I had an extra ticket. And truth be told, 100% honest, I put a couple asks out before asking Will. But after getting denied, I thought to myself, you know, who do I know that's out here that will really enjoy this festival to the fullest? A few names came to mind. I asked Will to begin with, and he said yes. Well, first he said, let me check with my wife, make sure we don't got nothing planned. That, you know, you got to do that. Always the right move to do. And so he came back and said, yeah, man, I'm down. And part of me was like, oh, man, he's probably going to, he might cancel in the last minute, you know, because family emergency or something. So I didn't really want to put that out there until I was sure he was going to come. And then, yep, I go pick him up, and then we had a great time. We drove out to Paso Robles. We stopped in San Fernando at Shadow Grove, one of my new favorite spots. Driving to my aunt's house from Arizona. Had a couple beers there, and then on the way back, I told him, hey, you should choose a spot. So we went over to Highland Park Brewing at the Hermosillo. And I think that's in Glendale, California. But yeah, we had some great food there, some good beers, and then drove back. So shout out to Will. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And yeah, it's funny because we get there and he knew a couple, like I lost him almost immediately in the crowd. We get our welcome beers. I turn around, he ain't there. And then he said he saw someone that he knew from Ash, from the Arizona Home Society of Home Brewers. And then at first he saw someone that he recognized from the brewery when he used to work there at the brewery down in San Diego, in that area, or in LA. The LA area. And I think Anaheim. Regardless, so he saw someone there, so he went to go talk to him for a little bit. And then later, this is before we even got in, then he recognized one of the brewers from the Arizona Society of Home Brewers. And then, of course, when we were in there, he recognized a couple of hop dealers, some hop pushers. And, of course, he knew people. He's well regarded in the beer world. So anyway, had a great time. You'll hear us, me and Sorcerer Chromatic and Will talk about beer in a second. Just want to give the plugs, give a shout out. Don't forget to follow us on Untapped and Instagram. You can hear the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean.com, and YouTube. And yeah, if you're in Arizona or if you're thinking about coming to Arizona, go to Catalyst Crafted Ales in Tempe. Check them out on Instagram. They got a lot of fun content, and it's a great spot. He's got some, and we were talking about it on the way back, picking his brain on what he might try. He's got some great ideas coming up. I don't want to spoil them; those are for him. And but if you're ever in the Arizona area, go to Catalyst. He does not disappoint. He is a really good brewer, and they just won an award from Ash, the Arizona Society of Home Brewers. They had a Pro-Am contest, and his beer won. So let me see what it's called. I got to look it up. I didn't commit it to memory. Let's see. They won for their Positive Visualization, which is an American-style light lager. So that's awesome for them. So check them out. That's done me, or that's enough of me giving them a Hoover job. So without further ado, here is Sorcerer Chromatic, Will, and I talking about the Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Festival. Coming at you pre-recorded from the remote, Paso Robles
Yes.
Cold Brew Studios. I'm Greg.
Central Coast Lair.
Who are you?
Sorcerer Chromatic.
And who are you?
Will Waltheresen.
From Catalyst Crafted Ales out of Tempe, Arizona. So this is your first Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Festival. What do you think?
Nothing but impressed. Class act. Good crowd control. I wish I would have brought a hat, but a little warmer than I thought.
We had a heat wave today.
Being from Arizona, I was thinking I could take it. I couldn't, but
it's a different
great
heat.
performance nonetheless.
Really quick, Will, with your crowd control comment, I agree too. The whole venue flowed. I mean, you could elbow room for everyone. Although a lot of people, a lot of long lines at the same time. You keep it moving, keep going on, and just organization is key to an event this big and this important to people who love craft beer, I feel.
Yeah, and to double down on that, there were so many places that had long lines.
Yeah.
And I like that because that means that people are willing to take the time to try those beers. Right. But at the same time, we have a little cheater's guide to where in between the long lines, hype places that kind of flew under the radar. Maybe the SR-71s, they were so fast you couldn't quite catch them. But they still had the big beers that you want to try and the delicious flavors where maybe people didn't realize or there was just so much good stuff. People just kind of clustered up and these things slipped through the fist, so much to say.
Yeah. What I think one of the places that surprised me was what's it called? Paper press? Paper, what's it called?
Private Press.
Yeah. They had some great barrel-aged stouts, and the line was so short. I'm like, I thought it was weird that they had so much great beer and that people just didn't hear about them. That's why they didn't have a long line such as like a Green Cheek or a Garage Project or something like that.
Yeah.
Really quick. I mean, yeah. They were right next to Garage Project, who got a lot of love. I mean, maybe they were 2 tenths away. But yeah, they had a 15.8, a 17.4, an 18.3, and a 14.2. Yeah. All heavy hitters. I had 2 of them. I had
all barrel aged.
Yeah, they were all barrel aged stouts. The Mizunara Beyond Forever, that was a rye barrel aged. That one had a nice rye kick to it that cut through a stout. I also had the Play-Doh Shadow. That was the big boy with at 18.3, and that was silky smooth barrel aged stoutness, sweetness. They were both nice drinkers. I mean, the whole fact that you walk up to the front line and all you had was big beers to choose from probably was a reason why too that they didn't get a lot of build up in the line.
Well, they were sleepers, and they brought only the top of the muffin. Yeah, you know what I mean. So they didn't really.
Seinfeld was with you on that.
They didn't. They weren't fucking around. Yeah, you know, they brought like hot heavy hitters, which is kind of their style of their whole brewery, from what I understand. A kind of a private club member brewery that has really exclusive, connoisseur quality type things, and every single thing that they brought really exceeded expectations and flew under the radar at the same time, which was I think it's a fine line to walk, but I think the people that really knew got to try them and were like, wow, how do we get our hands on more beer like that?
Well, you talked to a lot of the people that we were in line with, and how did you feel about their acumen for beer? Top notch or more like a casual fan?
For which place?
Whatever. Like in general.
Like talking to a beer fan online, basically.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a lot of really high end, like beer geeks here. but like that want like the really nice, like, you know, they appreciate the high end beer, like the Horus, the Monkish. But there was also breweries that were like just as good and right in the same vein, you know, shoulder and shoulder, that might not have gotten the same love. But I wish that people would have gone more and tried them.
Yeah.
Because I did, because we had a big group and we were jumping around from stuff. But I was like a kind of a sniper, like trying to find these, like, why is this line short? Well, let's go try this. I've heard of these guys. This is cool. And then some places it was slow at the beginning, but by the end, it started to fill up, and
the word got out. Yeah,
the word got out on some of these places.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that too, which is a hats off to the Firestone Walker team for not only putting on a good show for themselves, but putting on a good land of opportunity type of atmosphere. Where, you know, you might not know who these guys are coming in, but by the end, you're going to be talking about them and what they did and what they brought.
What impressed you? Like one or two beers that impressed you today?
The biggest that stood out to me, and there's two that I would really, really like. It's Green Bench from Florida brought this Saison that was a Brett Fooder Saison.
Oh wow!
I can't really remember the name of it. It was Elevation Saison, I feel like, and it was a nice light Brett flavor, good, crisp, just delicious beer that wasn't over the top. That was super good. That was really under the radar, and that had like a something that I like about beers. You can just drink a lot of it. And then the other beer that I really, really liked was the let me see if I can pull the name of the brewery, because I've heard of them before.
No, you're good.
But I don't know the exact verbiage or whatever we say.
Yeah.
So I'll do my best to not mess it up, but
yeah, there was a lot of good beers.
Bofkant beer.
Bofkant, yeah.
Bofkant beer.
Was it the Riesling or the Creek?
There was a lot. So I really liked the Bourbon Creek. It was super cherry and had not a lot of like intense bourbon notes, maybe like a bourbon stout, but it had this really nice like funky flavor that was super good. And also the Ola's Riesling 22. That was another one that had a lot of like old school lambic type vibes to it. But all of the beers that they brought were really good. We missed their
the Magnum
6
pour?
liter or their 3 liter pour of their special, but
red, Lady in Red, I think that was it's called.
Yeah, and there was a time where no one was over there trying it. I was like, dude, this is like one of the best beers at the festival. And then the secret got out, and we ended up missing but we did get to try the Beechwood.
The Moonwalk too by Bofkant, the I think it was the apricot sour.
Yeah, that was a huge
the apricot lambic. There was the finish for me. The finish was amazing. Like I never really experienced a beer like that until today, and I was blown away. Like I might have become a lambic fan just because of that beer right there.
Yeah, and I could see why someone would, because of that funky, that intense, that like kind of bready
but the
flavor, but the way that it contrasts the sweetness, and the ripeness and the honey and the apricot and the stone fruit flavors, and
the finish when you just let it linger on you, like wait a second before you take your next sip and just let it play on your tongue for a little bit. It was amazing.
It's like drinking a glass of wine, like a wild wine or
like
what do they call that?
An old wine Zin or something like that, or Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, and then the other one that I think that was something that I really enjoyed that you had with me was the Funk Yeah from Beechwood.
Oh yeah, the goose.
Yeah.
The goose, whatever. How do you pronounce that?
Goose. Yeah, Goose. But
yeah.
I had their Mexican lager, the Vida Oro, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they had lime in
Golden
it.
Life, yeah.
Had lime in it. They did it right. I think they didn't overkill it with the lime.
Okay.
But go ahead with your funk sour. I saw that one too. That was
Funk,
really
yeah,
popular.
yeah.
Yeah, or funk, yeah.
Yeah, they in fact they gave him a pour and they poured it out because they just opened a new bottle, so they wanted Will to have a new bottle of it or a new pour of it.
And that just goes to the level of appreciation that Harrison and these guys have over there for what they're doing with these like American influenced like lambic
Old
beer.
world, yeah.
Yeah, and just blown away by the funk, yeah, and the pineapple pain crusher and the
Oh yeah, by
the
Beach Road,
cactus
too.
cool ship. They were all they had a few different flavors, but we were leaning towards the funk, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah, Mark, Sorcerer Chromatic, excuse me. What was your favorite beer or brewery of the event today?
You know, I hate to say it, but one of the first ones I did, I think it might have been the first one was no, because I had a quick hitter, but there does not exist.
Oh yeah,
I had
yeah,
the
local
one
guys.
the one I sent you on text during the event.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
One of the barrel aged was it's called Feathers, Bone Chimes, and External Rest. They're vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
And I say this before, and a lot of our longtime listeners know, I'm not the biggest fan of coconut in a stout. And
Okay.
I understand the ingredient, I understand the sweetness it has and stuff like this. However, the profile was there, and I was able to enjoy it. That's the thing. Like for whatever reason, that vanilla hit great in that one for me. A lot of the big beers I did like, and what was another one? The Weldworks.
Yeah.
They're
Out of Colorado, yeah.
yeah, they had a barrel aged stout, the macaron, medianoche macaron or macaron medianoche, where they actually had a homemade macaron to accompany it with too. So that's a little gimmick. However, first of all, delicious little pastry that they did with it, and I appreciate that little effect that it was just homemade, not like they partnered up to do it. However,
Yeah.
again, macaron, a coconut style pastry, just it worked for me, and I don't know if my palate's changing or appreciating, because I don't fawn for coconut style desserts or just even coconut itself.
Yeah.
Just it worked for me.
All right.
And then too, I got to be able to be part of the very end, the popping open of the unfiltered DBA.
Oh, yeah,
the specialties
you
at
yeah.
Firestone.
That was super cool.
And I get it, and at the same time, it's like where they had their members only tent versus
Yeah.
the regular tent. And I get Firestone's growing and has a market and fandom, and can do stuff like that as far as exclusivity on some pours. However, it was kind of cool how they kind of randomly shared that too. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And again, DBA is one of my favorite. So
Yeah.
if I get the D DBA or the U DBA, I'll be in line for it, for sure. So
Right.
So the fact that I was able to get hooked up with that too, because they only had like 3 or 4 magnums of it as well too. So it wasn't like the biggest option.
Yeah. And,
enough to go around for everyone, so to speak.
Yes.
all right. So, yeah, your takeaways. So, Sorcerer Chromatic, this is what, like your sixth one?
maybe 6th, maybe 7th. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Was this the hottest one, or was it that one in 2018 before I went? That one year. Remember you and
Yeah,
LT called me?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was with Eli.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And I had my phone on the table, and
Yeah.
it overheated. So, yeah, I remember the heat on that one, and I remember the heat on this one. The others, don't remember as much.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
this one's more recent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember last year too. I get it. It was hot. It's too, and well, you can see this too. Like, half of the place is cool, natural shade with trees and stuff like that. The other half is just a dirt lot. for lack of a better term.
If you wanted to get the good beer, you had to go into the fucking jungle.
Yeah.
And that's why I got burned. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, and I think that it's a cool festival, and you can't predict if it's going to be this hot, but they did well.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
There was a lot of cool down stations.
Yeah,
too.
he decided they had their cooling station as in legit misters. The
porticool, the porticool fence.
The porticool fence. But real quick, I want to go to a mist system, a true mist system. And as far as you know, in Arizona too, they're probably all over the place. Is where the mist is so fine that you can stand under it and still stay dry. It just cools the air.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If you're at a
It'd have been
restaurant,
nice on the way in. You know, when we're waiting for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if they had a cooling type thing there, I think that's a pretty constructive criticism.
I was thinking if they had like a shade above where we were waiting.
Yeah, like the roaming
drop.
canopy, kind of like the you know, like
it could be a portable one. It doesn't have to be permanent.
Yeah. And but no, I agree with that too, because that was the most rough part of the whole festival. I felt like,
but then going to is like obviously water stations, cold water stations, and then restaurant facilities.
Those, that was nice.
They were all adequate for the event, which makes it more comfortable.
Yeah, you didn't have to wait too long. Yeah, you didn't have to wait long at all. So what was your favorite part of the whole thing? Whether it was beer or food or
everything, the experience, man. I mean, I like, a lot of beers I liked, company I liked, the event. Like I said, I think this is my seventh. It might be sixth, maybe seventh. I have to do the math. Right. The COVID throws me off.
Yeah. Will, what about you, man? What was your favorite part of the whole event?
My first time, and there's just so much to take in. So I'll give you cauliflower ear, but I saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. I saw a lot of people that I've seen, the week before. But there were some Arizona reps. There were some SoCal guys. There were some brewery guys.
Yeah.
There were some people that I knew, and some guys from like Green Cheek and places that are very close, and Beechwood and Highland Park that
that one guy from Garage Project who like sells hops, right?
Oh yeah,
the hop salesman.
Yeah, so he works for Freestyle, so we buy some Freestyle hops. But
all right.
I want to do a quick kind of
go ahead, man.
Shameless shout out of a few breweries that really stood out to me that maybe that didn't have the line that I think that they deserved, but I had their beer and I thought it was phenomenal.
No, but I appreciate your candor and your expertise.
So I'm gonna start with shamelessly Beechwood Brewing, Beechwood Blending. Mm-hmm. They're phenomenal West Coast IPAs, phenomenal Belgian style
sours,
lambic inspired, American made stuff. Probably the top in the country, in my opinion. And there's a lot of really good people, but if you don't agree with me, try Funk Yeah and tell me how
that was a good one. I give you a little sip of that one.
Beer Stout Lager House had done a collaboration with Firestone Walker.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal. They told me it was hoppy, and it literally danced over my tongue like some Saz hops on Rockefeller Square ice skating.
But it wasn't like it wasn't bitter.
Intense.
It was just the hoppy and the fruitiness of the hop.
It was a show, you know, and it was just so delicious, and it was something that they don't usually have. I was gonna get their Keller their Hellas, sorry. I had the Hellas, and I gave you a little sip of it. And it was great.
Yes, it was.
But I was glad I got to try the one that they did with Firestone. Beerifico, delicious Pilsner. Both Kant. Now, here we go.
Yeah, we went there like 2 or 3 times. And the line was short.
They had a lot of really good beer. The Moonwalk and
the Moonwalk, yeah, that was the one I was just talking about.
The Canada with Love and the Bourbon Creek. So we'll just glaze over that. But let me see.
Well, you went to a few of them when I was in the in the merch line.
Hey, and here's another thing to remember. Go to the Firestone Walker and just get a Pivo Pils. When everyone's standing in a really long line and no one's there and it's just shaded, have a nice Pivo Pils.
Sorcerer Chromatic, what do you think about the Pivo Pils?
I do like it. It's got a little bit of IBU to it, but not that something
twang.
crazy.
It's a little twang.
Yeah, enough to
A little
register.
country and a little rock and roll.
Okay. Well, and I don't know how long you've heard my show. And I said this a long time ago, and I live by this, where the IBU scale, whether fair or foul for over 100, but when I see an IBU above 55, that's when you get the hop note. If it's under 50, now granted, if it's floating at like 40-ish or 50-ish, okay, you'll get something there. But when it's over 55, that's when you get more hop than malt, in my personal opinion, for experience. Now, there could be some that are floating with it because for whatever reason, there's some roasty malt to it, like honestly, like a coffee. Yeah. But that's just bitterness in general. But when it's over 55, that's when you get a hoppy beer. Now, Pivo, I'm willing to assume, is under 55, but it flirts around that neighborhood.
So from what I know in terms of making beer, and we don't check our IBUs by any type of lab standard. We're doing, simple arithmetic at best and trying to calculate it. There's this guy who used to work for Stone. I think his name's Mitch Steele. He wrote this book about IPAs, and there's this kind of rule of thumb around 35 to 45 IBUs. If you dry hop something under 35 IBUs, it's going to increase the perceived bitterness of taste. If you dry hop something over 35 to 45 IBUs, it's going to decrease the perceived bitterness.
Really?
So like when you have these hazy IPAs and there's just a shitload of dry hop, it's going to increase the bitterness flavor you're going to taste, but it's also going to increase the aroma. But this is just also kind of a rule of thumb, but it kind of comes back to that. So it's not, I don't think it's so much about IBUs. I think it's about perceived bitterness, because you can have a quadruple dry hopped IPA and it's going to taste more bitter than anything, and there's probably very low measurable IBUs. So I feel like IBU is kind of like pH. Like it matters to a certain extent, but like it's not. I don't live and die by it. And just how I taste beer is I'm more in like I'll try it, but like I feel like a long time ago IBU was so much more like, damn, this is 100 IBU. I gotta like hit that, like this is gonna be like the flavor, like the
technical. So going with you said, and I appreciate, and I get that, and I learned something about what you just said. So going back to Pivos is like Pivos then is to me then a crispy pill with a kick. Is that fair to say?
And it's aggressive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's not aggressive. Like it's hoppy, and it's like. It's almost like the old school IPAs where you're having a Sierra Nevada or something where you're like, okay, that's fair. Yeah. This is an intense hoppy beer.
IPA.
Where like, and then you have something where it's like like the Timbo. You had the Timbo with us, or did you not have that one?
Oh no, that was just me and you. Yeah.
Who was that?
Highland Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were trying to think of somebody that we had that was light, but the light hopping with the lager is like an arc. But I understand where some people would be like, I just want more of just like not that in my Pilsner or in my lager.
Right.
Like I don't want that.
I want crispy. I don't want bitter.
I'm not like trying to like, I don't play that game. And like a lot of times with some of the West Coast IPAs I even tried from like North Park and some of these guys, I felt like there was like this thing where it was double IPA. I want it to taste like a hoppy lager. Hoppy lager, I want it to kind of like fall in the middle there, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everything's trying to be made sneaky.
Yeah.
You know, everything's trying to be as smooth and as clean and as like unaggressive as possible. So I think that when there's certain things that are a little bit more aggressive, they kind of stand out. But the thing that stood out to me was that a lot of things at this festival were very, very
true to the style, right?
yeah, like you knew what you were gonna get. Like
Yeah.
if you were gonna go wait in the Garage Project line, you were gonna get that. What was the name of that layered thing?
The
Do we know?
yuzu,
Yeah.
the yuzu sour.
The yuzu.
Yeah.
So it was the yuzu layer. It was like this. It was almost like a yellow on the bottom and then like a red on top, and it
And
was
the white
like
foam, yeah.
layered, and it was so delicious.
Real
but-
quick, the red was like a syrup, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like
Yeah.
a strawberry raspberries.
Almost
Sorbet
similar
or
to
something.
what's that called with the German style when they do that?
Oh, the black and tan.
Berliner.
The Berliner Weiss, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Berliner. Oh yeah, Will and I were talking about like the original Berliner Weisses. Like they just came with the yellow, and then you're supposed to add a syrup to it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was at Henry's High Life, and I was telling Will the first time I had Berliner Weiss, and it was just a sour beer. I'm like, well, I heard you're supposed to add syrup
Yeah.
to it. The only thing they really had is grenadine.
Yeah.
So I had him add grenadine, like a couple. Oh, who's that guy? Who's that? Robert.
Yeah.
The guy who started his
Yeah,
that
Rob.
brewery,
Yeah.
Slice or whatever it's called. Or,
Oh,
yeah.
it's Slice.
No, it wasn't. He's not Slice. He's
Okay.
at Morgan Hill. It's like something up or something drop or something like that. And I'm sorry, because Robert was legit. Like Robert with the Helford.
yeah. But he was the one I told, like, add some grenadine to this because Berliner Weiss is supposed to be sold with the syrup to it. So when Yuzu came out when Garage Project came out with Yuzu like 2 years ago, I'm like, this is exactly what it's supposed to be. And so yeah, I'm glad they still brought it back.
And they said it was. I asked the guy, and I mean, I don't really know all the details, but they said it was supposed to be some type of thing from New Zealand. That's a common like thing, and they remade it into but like the whole layeredness of it.
Oh,
is
okay.
something,
The specific
there's
gravity
something-
thing. Yeah.
There's something that they're doing there that is like an homage to like New Zealand, and there were just so many people there, and there was so much stuff. I kind of heard him talking about it, and I'm sorry, but he said that was from what and maybe we can back this up with some type of evidence or something. But they have like layered drinks like that, and that's like a cool thing.
It is cool, man. Just to look at that. It reminded me of the time when I went to the Czech Republic and everyone in my group ordered a blowjob. That's another layered shot, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant something else. I thought you went to Thailand.
That's legal over there, right? You could just order one.
Thailand and order their blowjobs a little different. Or Tijuana.
Yeah.
Highland Park was sorry to bounce off.
No, good. I'm glad you took us back to beer.
Highland Park had some really cool stuff. Timbo Pills, pretty badass.
That was good. Yeah. Was that the West Coast they had?
It's a West Coast Pills, so kind of a Pilsner with Mosaic and Citra, and kind of brings you the best of both worlds. You had the Hot Butcher. I didn't get to try Hot Butcher.
I love fucking Hot Butcher, man.
What did they have that really?
I gave you. It was a double hazy, whatever.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm at Horace.
Flow or New Oklahoma
No, it wasn't New Oklahoma.
or
it was the other
Purple
one.
Moss.
Yeah, Purple Moss. That was
Purple
it.
Moss. So the Purple Moss was the one that we had.
Yeah, it was a
So
pillowy, man.
I'm fact checking all of the names for these things.
Let me
people
ask you
can-
this, because I know you brew beer a lot. What makes those New England IPAs like almost a yellow, soft, pillowy type of mouthfeel and a little bit of citrus to it in the? Because those are the hazy ones, not just the ones like, oh, we brewed a IPA and it's not that clear, so we're gonna call it a hazy.
Yeah. So like the really like milky, like frothy.
Yeah, without
of-
putting like lactose or bullshit in it.
So from my experience,
Yeah.
and I know there's probably going to be, this is the thing with this style, there's no real gold standard. Nobody really knows what there's like one die in the wool way to do this. So this is the way that I like to do it, and the way that we do it is we'll add a lot of oats.
Okay.
We'll add white wheat or malted wheat.
Okay.
That's another thing that adds protein and adds a little bit of color to it.
Yeah.
There's also yeast that helps in that. The yeast that doesn't flocculate as much. So there's going to be a little bit of yeast that's going to be always left in those. You want it minimal, but there's going to be some. And then there's certain types of hops that have thiols, that have higher acid amounts and higher oil amounts.
Yeah.
That kind of bond to these yeast that when they ferment. So we've made some beers with the same yeast where it's like, man, this thing kind of clears up kind of quick.
Yeah.
And then we've had other ones where we make it with different, maybe somewhat. And then not only that, the water profile, the salts, the calcium chloride, calcium chloride, and the gypsum. So, doing some really high calcium chloride rates will definitely give you more haze and give you more body and give you more of that, like, almost what I like in a hazy beer is it's thick on the front, like a Hefeweizen, but it finishes dry. So it's like it comes and hits you high, and then it finishes low. And it can be bitter, it can be kind of sweet, but whatever it is, I want it there and I want it gone. I don't want to sip on that for like 15 seconds.
All right. Fair enough. So, Sorcerer Chromatic, is that the first time you've had a Paradise Valley?
Yes.
From Catalyst. What do you think? That's a hazy, right?
Yes. The hazy IPA. I for what it is, I appreciate it. I knew going in, it's gonna have heaviness, it's gonna have that sweetness to it and a hop note to it. And for me, it's in my range of enjoyable. Like, again, I get where the hop head craziness comes from, and you're more of a multi dude. I'm more of a multi guy. But again, going to a triple I, like, here's the thing: if I open a triple IPA, I know what I'm getting into. I opened this and I knew what I was gonna get, and everything's registering on what it is. So the thing is, there's no shock factor. There's no, oh my gosh, why am I drinking this? It's not there. I like this. It's sweet enough and it's hoppy enough. I mean, like, and I was gonna ask you this too, like, as a brewer too. Like, say you brew a beer, right? And someone likes it, and the ABV is like 7.5, and the IBU is like 85, right? That's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
But not every beer that's 7.5 and 85 is going to be the same.
Yeah.
For whatever, however that works, it's not going to be the same. So you got to know what you're getting into before you start criticizing and critiquing and trashing or appreciating as well too.
And I think that there's one thing that if I could say to anybody that drinks beer that's serious about beer, I would just take IBU with a grain of salt. Like, I don't care what the IBU is. Yeah. I want to try the beer, and I'll let you know what I think, because IBU is kind of exists on a spectrum. There's a perceived bitterness. Perceived anything. Perceived bitterness, perceived sweetness, perceived hoppiness, whatever.
Perceived hotness, even if it's
So there's this. This is what I think of in terms of like bitterness. There's this perceived bitterness that comes from dry hopping, and if you dry hop at a really, really high rate, you could have a perceived bitterness that could have more actual bitterness than something that's 200 IBUs. Yeah. If something is burned by something like Galaxy or some type of really, really high alpha, like scorching hop, I've literally burned Galaxy beers that are like 10 IBU that hit harder than a 200 IBU beer. You know what I mean? So like, if you burn a beer with the bad hop, that can totally change everything. And so it's not so much about what we can put on paper. It's about more of what you taste and what you feel. And it's IBU, I feel like you don't really have to worry about it.
But I feel like IBU is not a big thing right now, like in the craft
not
beer
like
scene.
It was.
Yeah, not like back in the day. Yeah, like
you can throw
4 or
it out
5
the
years
window.
ago. Yeah,
just try it but There is a lot of like measurable, like we always need to have something measurable, like how much THC's in this, how much alcohol by volume, how much IBUs are in this.
Okay, so
but like it doesn't always fucking break down like that.
All right, so Will, out of 5 stars, Firestone Walker, your first one.
5 out of 5.
Sorcerer Chromatic, what do you? This is your like 6th, 7th one, 8th one, 9th one. What?
Yeah. Still 5 out of 5. Didn't disappoint.
Yeah,
Still keeping the par. And well, I don't know how many shows you listen to. My biggest thing was coming out of COVID. Would the festival be the same pre-COVID? And first one was definitely did not disappoint, and we just kept rolling from there. I mean, the great organization, great attendees or invitees for sampling this. I mean, I forgot who did it, but they did like the top beer festivals in the country.
Yeah,
this was number 4, and of course, Great American Beer Festival in Denver. Was number 1.
Right. Yeah.
I forgot what the other
and the
two.
World Beer Cup, wherever the CBC is at.
I forgot where they were, but obviously, this one was ranked 4, and it was
number 1 on the West Coast.
Yeah, on the West Coast. So that's why I say best in the West is this one. And
I feel like so this is not like like the after school special like beer festival. This isn't for like the guys who I kind of like beer, I enjoy beer. This is for like the guys who don't get the freeze dried taster's choice. They want the gourmet shit that they could taste. You know, so for people that care, people will come from Arizona, people will come from Texas, people will come from Oregon, Colorado.
Yeah.
I saw some Seattle people too. Yeah.
Destination type of beer festival.
Yeah.
And because they have so many guys that like, I can't go and just drink like some Fire side project or Horus
or an 805 or something,
or any of these Firestone Walker, but you could come to this festival and pay the entrance fee and get to try like beers that you'd never get to try. They're super exclusive. Like there's no
distribution for Japan or New Zealand or something like that, right?
And you can try beers that you could try on the shelves that will never be this fresh. Also, if you don't want to go and play the game, if you don't want to if you don't want to wait for Splash Mountain, you could still enjoy yourself at Toontown.
I love that.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's so many good options. And then if you want to go and chase, we can go to the Russian River when they have the Magnum, or they have the time
consecration
of Horus. They had a 6-time barrel aged stout that's 20%.
Oh shit!
That we got to try.
We didn't get to try that one. They were out of it, or they weren't pouring it when we got there.
Yeah, well, we went straight to the.
That was our first one.
Straight to the throat. But
there was Sign of the Monarchs. That was what it's called. Sign of the Monarchs. So Sextuple barrel aged imperial stout with vanilla. It was fucking amazing.
Just that is so.
Oh no, we had that one.
Yeah.
With the red wax.
See?
Yeah.
The red wax. Yeah.
Did you sign the shoe?
No, I did not.
he
did. I thought you did, dude. Or
no,
did you
I passed it off. I saw somebody.
Cares, man?
Somebody drew
that was stupid.
Somebody drew a penis on the shoe,
Yeah,
and I was like, "My job is done here."
Wait, did they draw it or chase it or trace it? I'm sorry.
Well,
they might have traced it.
It was like a happy, so I hope it was.
I hope they did trace. Who knows? There was balls too. So
it was a big shoe.
It was.
It was uncut.
It was a New Balance.
Or no, it was cut.
No, it was a Nike, I think. Yeah. But yeah, we went on to other breweries like places that were all around there that were super cool that you wouldn't even have to know about. Like Radiant was another brewery that flew under the radar. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back on my.
I love my Hop Butcher. I told you before. I've had them on the show. I love their fucking IPAs. Super fucking great. They knock it out the park out of Chicago.
Lawson's was fire.
They had the Sips of Sunshine there.
Maine Beer Company was putting out fire.
They had lunch and they had a bunch of other ones.
Minha Beer from Japan. Moxa. I know we had people going to Moxa. We had people going to Monkish.
That a rock one?
Mountain Culture. North Park, dude. North Park. The thing that I liked about them was they had the big stout, and nobody was in line for them.
Yeah.
Where there was people in these huge lines, and we go get to North Park, and we're like, dude, this is like almost like the stout of the festival in some ways. I could see,
and they make so good fucking IPAs too. I had the West Coast was phenomenal.
I went back and tried they had a West Coast Pilsner, hazy single, hazy double, and like all these different things, or no, West Coast double, West Coast single, and all their beers were so clear and so delicious and so great. But that was a thing that really flew under the radar, I thought, for a lot of people.
No, this place is great, man. The fact that they and going back to Arizona, you and I know Joe Lopez, who puts on the Copper Stone or the Copper State Fire.
Yeah.
And
that's
he
the
came out here
premier
last
festival.
year, and he was asking people to come out, and they're like, "Well, do you pay?"
Yeah.
Like, because all these people get paid to come out here.
You got it,
And
dude.
yeah, and
You want to draw? I mean, if you want to have the big draw, like you have to.
it's a garage project and mountain
put your
culture
show.
and
Why do you think the Green
Yujo
Sheik
and-
brought all this stuff out? Like, why do you think all these guys brought this stuff?
Because they get paid to bring it out here. That's why
Russian
they get
River.
invited.
Why do you think Russian River's bringing these like bottles that are larger than
The
my,
3-liter
child?
bottles? Yeah.
No, 6 liter. 6 liter.
She said 6 liter?
Yeah, 6
okay,
liter.
all right. That's crazy, man.
Side Project was killing it. We didn't get to try any Side Project. At least
No,
I didn't.
I've had them before, but yeah,
we love
great.
their stuff.
Yeah.
But, Sierra Nevada, I'm gonna give them a little. This is a shameful.
Oh, we had the
throw out-
XPA, and you had the pills
or
from them.
shameless. The pills throw out there, dude, was super good.
Yeah.
And nobody was even chasing it. So if you wanted to have something, but the Single Hill Brewing, Adams was their American Pilsner that kept us going while the garage project line was going.
Yeah, you gave me a little bit of that.
And they had some really cool stuff, and those were super cool guys. But I'm trying to tell people flying under the radar. There Does Not Exist was another one that we
From
went
Slow,
and
yeah.
saw. And they had the Father's Vanilla Stout that was really...
Oh, it's tremendous.
really
I had a
delicious.
sip of that. All right, so before we stop recording, I'm sitting with two
throw
guys
everyone over before we go.
who fucking love football. Like, let's talk a little bit about football, man.
Fuck.
Will,
Now we're
so
drunk,
Will-
so now you're bringing this up.
Will's a Bears fan.
Yeah, you got me.
How do you feel about the O-line signing?
I'm
The
excited.
guy from Atlanta, right?
I'm
What's his
excited
name?
about it. He's the center, you know.
How do you feel about the draft? About your draft? About the Bears draft?
I'll tell you that about the Bears draft.
Yeah.
I like Loveland a lot. I think that he's a really good tight end. He's
Yeah,
going to get
he's
along
good.
well with the system
He's
that
better
we
commit
have.
though.
I like commit too.
Yeah.
But to be able to run double tight and have that much confidence in both of your tight ends, when everybody's building to stop the pass, it's nice to have a good double tight set that you can go and fuck people up and pass deep with 2 pass threat tight ends and in the red zone and stuff.
That's fair.
So,
Fair enough.
so I understand. I'm letting Ben Johnson cook on that.
All right.
And I think that there
See how
might
it ends up. Yeah.
I would like to maybe have other people drafted there, but probably more defensive side of the ball. When it comes to the second round, I like Luther Burden a lot.
Yeah.
Luther Burden was not drafted in the first round, and when he wasn't, he was out running routes and putting it on his TikTok and and like he's like, I want to let 32 teams know that they made a mistake, or 31 teams know that they made a mistake. They picked him up in the beginning of the second round, and I think that that's going to be a really, really nice like Debo Samuel, where like he can line up in the back, almost like Cordero Patterson. Like he can do a lot of different things.
You don't know if he's going to run or if he's going to go out for a pass
and like
pass
screens
pattern.
and deep passes and just a good Swiss Army knife of a weapon. Who's pissed off that he wasn't a first round pick? which is a good place to have someone on a rookie contract, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But after
And
that,
I think Caleb is your best offensive asset, and they got to build around him. And I think they are starting to. It might not be this year, but maybe next year he's going to be really coming to his own. That's the way I see it anyway. We'll see.
It has to be this year. There's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, how do you feel, Sorcerer Chromatic, about the Bears?
Yes.
They don't call him the best color game in the best color man in the game.
No,
for not the
okay,
books.
well,
There's a lot of pressure, though, right?
Yeah. You look at the number, they play that number game, the hardest schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The toughest. Like, I get it at the same
play
time.
The Packers,
At
they
the
ain't
yeah.
shit. I'm just kidding.
No, at the same time. So, mathematically, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers were all playoff teams, right?
They all took big step backs, though, right?
Right. Oh yeah, in the
Yeah.
offseason, yeah. That's the thing. I think they took bigger steps. Yeah.
I think the Lions stayed the same. The other two took a step back.
The problem is,
I think, anyway.
dude, they lost their two best generals. Like, they might be a strong army. They have a lot of talent. But, man, they lost the two guys. And Dan Campbell is still a force. But you lose your offensive coordinator, who's arguably the best play caller in the NFL, to your biggest rival. Now he knows all of your shit,
Yeah,
and then your defensive guy goes to New York, and he might as well be in Kingdom Come over there. He ain't gonna do anything for you. And so you have two new guys coming, and they took all the. You don't think they took their linebacker coach or their tight end coach,
exactly,
or they stripped that thing to nothing. So I know the Lions have a lot of talent. But can they overcome? Can they
the
be
lack
stronger?
of leadership? Right.
Yeah. Can they be stronger as a
That's
unit?
a good point. I didn't even think of that.
No, I get that too, because I know I listen to more than you, Greg Papa. He compares like being a head coach to being like a teacher in a AP classroom.
Okay.
It's like the students want the assignment. They want to solve it. They want the A. They want the grade.
I get that. Yeah.
And the coach is the one that flushes it out on the field somehow. Whether So Dan Campbell being the not Dan Campbell, Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Yeah.
Being the OC.
Yeah.
Is like, look, here's my A work for our offensive plan. Here's my A work, and Campbell's like, okay, go with it, and then so he's like, go with it. Now, the replacements are they as good as students as the ones he lost,
Yeah.
versus, because Campbell doesn't call offense. I mean, he was a tight end, but he doesn't call offense. I mean, he knows how to coach, he knows how to lead, and that's great. And he obviously showed it. Now, same thing too. It's harder to get better than it is to stay the same.
Yeah.
So
right.
The cap is supposed to balance everyone, and everyone has a cap casualties or limitations.
Yeah.
Granted, they still got some good running backs. They still got some good receivers. But then you go down to Green Bay and Minnesota. It's like, Minnesota lost a starting quarterback, but they have an
heir apparent.
They have an error at the same time.
He got hurt, but he's unproven.
Unproven asset, but with the coach that's an elevator. And the guy that can bring people.
But he came also from a system that needs to run, and the Vikings are known to be runners.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I guess the thing is if you can make Sam Darnold a 13-4 quarterback, you can make JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
A 12 and 5 quarterback, or 11-6 quarterback.
Yeah,
let's say a
10-7
quarterback.
10-7 is fine.
And then the thing, I think the big thing that people aren't looking at is where do the Packers stand in all of this? The Packers just did their, and I'm a Packers.
I think it's a wash. I think it's a wash for the Packers. They're going to be the same. I think
they drafted another number 2 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They have they have 5 number 2 wide receivers. Who's their number 1? And they're all hurt.
Good, that's a good point.
If Golden can really come out and be a number 1, I would be really happy. But they have all they have is number 2 wide receiver. They don't have the guy. They don't have the Pickett. Or Pickens, sorry.
Pickens, because he went to Dallas.
They could have got him from the Steelers. They could have got Metcalf. They chose not to, and they chose to draft the fastest wide receiver in the draft. And let's hope that works out. But
it never worked out for the Raiders.
Look at the Eagles. They're like, hey, we'll trade you a first and a third for AJ Brown because we think he can play now, and we want him in our scheme. And you can take the first and the third. And the Titans drafted a wide receiver, and then God knows what else. But who won? You know that.
But you know, real quick though, to the defense, Vrabel didn't even know about that. The GM did that under his breath, or under the radar. Where that was the discussion. Vrabel's like, why did you do that? And like, oh, well, the Eagles are on the verge of winning a championship. And Vrabel's like, well, what the hell do you think we're trying to do here? You know, it's like if we kept AJ Brown, we could build off that too. It's like, what? Just because they have a deeper bench, a different quarterback? I mean, it's like,
but sometimes
they got snookered out of that guy.
Taking the proven commodity for the draft pick.
Oh yeah,
you don't always know what the draft pick's gonna do. But
it's always
sometimes you don't know what the player's gonna do.
Yeah.
You know, you bring in a guy and you're like, dude, he was gangbuster, and then now it's all
right, real quick,
he's doing pink cocaine.
Before we sign off, too early to predict who's gonna be in the Super Bowl this year. Will too early.
Bills and
come on, man, hurry.
Bills 49ers.
All right. Sorcerer Chromatic.
Ravens,
too early.
Ravens Niners.
Ravens Niners. All right. I think it's gonna be the shit. That's good. I think it's Bills. I want to say my heart wants to say 49ers.
Bills Eagles or what?
Yeah, it's gonna be Bills Eagles. They're gonna run it back.
Bills Eagles would be fucking dope, dude. That would be like kind of.
It would be good. It would be good.
That's like America's Super Bowl, right?
I think in 2 years the Niners will be back, but not this year.
Okay.
All right.
We all know the Cowboys won't be there, right?
Yes, we all agree.
All right, Will. Thanks for coming out, man, and thanks for being on the show. Sorcerer Chromatic, fucking love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
And
love Will too, man. Great to meet Will, man.
Guys.
Cheers.
I'll drink to
Will's family.
Yeah, Will, Uncle Sorcerer Chromatic. I'd like to wish you cheers.
Until next time.